This episode of Bussin' with the Boys, is presented by Barstool Sports.
I don't see one white jersey guy in the background there. What's that about?
I got
Not in the visual.
Not in the visual. Not the
Mahomes,
highlight
Jackson,
areas.
Russell Wilson.
not on the wall actually.
That's crazy.
Wow.
What's the Browns one? What's the Browns one at the top?
That's Odell.
Oh, yep. Not
I got
white.
an Andy Dalton jersey upstairs. Does that count?
No, it's
in your
upstairs in the
closet?
closet, tucked away. He got cut by the Bengals, and you said, "All right, I'm just going to put this away for now."
I don't know if Joe's gonna be joining us. Hold on.
Oh, we were trying to get Joe on here.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Hey, Taylor, I saw I was trying to find your NFL Network deal, but I stumbled upon the one you did with Joe and Andrew. It looks like he's in the same exact spot where he was interviewing you.
Yeah, a couple of
Yeah.
days ago.
Yeah, we did a busting with the boys without you last week.
Yeah,
I
It
saw-
was like
I know, I
It
had
was like
to
a tiny
see.
little segment deal. I'll tell you, I got off the phone, or I got that interview, and I called Will, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, I was just blowing you out there. I was giving you love, talking about how every team needs a hardworking core four special teams white guy." And he's like, "Oh, really? Seriously? They did that?" I was like, "They didn't do shit. I was the one doing it, man. I was out there singing your praises. You think Joe Thomas and Hawk knows who the hell who you are? Come on, baby."
Hey,
I know Compton.
Hey, I've been on the phone with Hawk many of times about the podcast, actually, Taylor.
Dude,
Really?
When I was first starting, I was
that.
like, "Hey, you mind if I call you and like pick your brain about stuff?" He's like,
Yeah,
for
bro.
sure, bro.
By the way,
We're
we're
gonna
recording
we're
right
gonna
now.
talk
We're
about
on.
some of those
You're
stories,
on. You're
too.
on Bussin' with the Boys now. This is how we do our podcast.
No,
Very
it's just you
unprofessional.
drop in and it's just go. I love it.
Yeah,
It's a
just do
go-go
it.
mentality, man. It's a go-go mentality.
Is Joe coming on?
No, he's not.
Oh wow.
Okay. I'm
No.
gonna send him a picture right now.
No,
I'm gonna
I
text him
gotta,
right
I gotta
now.
like, I
Well,
gotta like
it wasn't his fault. It
resituate.
was my fault.
I gotta resituate myself.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
my
gonna, I'm
fault.
just gonna take a picture of all this. Send that to Joe and say, "Yo, that's fucking crazy."
He's gonna be like, Hawk never hit me, and he's gonna be right because the message that I sent to him never sent. So
Yo, are you at your house right now?
I'm at my house. I'm in my garage.
You built that.
I did. Soon as quarantine hit. Boom.
No way.
Those are my son's jerseys. That's why there's no white guys.
Oh, your son's racist.
Yeah, my son is my son.
This
Not into
this
white
isn't
guys.
me. This is my son.
Yeah.
Must stop
I'm just the man that taught him all his values and core values and morals. But this is my son. Don't worry, he's the bad egg.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know where he gets
crazy.
it from.
If you went into my
No.
closet right now of my jerseys, it would be a diverse portfolio. It would be a very diverse
Well,
portfolio.
All right. First off, I have Andy Dalton upstairs, but these are all. So Andy Dalton is. I mean, come on. That's like that counts at least 3 white guys, right?
He's got red
Yeah,
hair.
no, yeah.
He's got
I
red
didn't know
hair.
where you were going with that, but once you said, I was like, "Oh yeah, totally."
He's kind of right.
He's like,
The rest of them
definitely
are AJ is his boy. So that's actually Taylor Gabriel. It's not Calvin Ridley. So they sent those to him. And, then he's into MVPs and blonde hair. Odell, come on. It just makes a bunch of sense.
As
You know?
as a receiver, when you look at a guy like Odell, who, obviously he was picked 1 pick after me. He was picked to the Giants, absolute stud for a little bit.
Yeah.
And in Dallas, that for his first season, made the most incredible catch of all time. And
Yeah.
then like the turmoil, I don't know the whole story. I'm a big fan of Odell, actually. So I'm just kind of like weeding through the weeds right now, trying to figure out where I'm going with this. Because at one point, to get traded a franchise with that much talent that Odell has, there's got to be some frustration on both sides. What do you think happened there with those guys?
I don't know, man. It doesn't really make sense to me. Odell is a beast. And even as a receiver, like even when I was playing, I remember we played the Giants. And when you're on offense, you really don't care what's going on the field. You're trying to get your win. You're trying to like figure out the next thing, get your rest, whatever.
Right.
When we played the Giants, he was one of like 3 players that I would stand up to go on the sideline to watch because I'm like, yo, this kid is just different. And he is. So that like as much as that catch has catapulted him into superstardom, that's not a lucky catch. There is such a small percentage of receivers that I don't care how many chances you give them can make that catch. And it wasn't luck. And like when you watch him, he just has so many attributes to him. The only thing that's kind of stood in his way is some of the situation stuff. He's a passionate dude, but even the stuff you hear, like the people talk about him, I mean, it's typically like stuff that we're not even going to remember in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the net stuff on the sideline. Like teammates don't say he was a bad teammate. And if they don't say that, for me, I really just don't give a damn. You know,
It shouldn't matter. Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't like the person, but they're giving you results. If I'm a business owner and I don't like the person giving me results, but the other people around him aren't affected by him negatively that have to work on a day-to-day basis, play on Sundays, where's the issue there? Do you think the Giants made a mistake by getting rid of him?
Yes. I mean, it depends on what they're doing, though. You know what I'm saying? I was a part of a Browns team that got rid of all their even, you know, I wouldn't call us good by any stretch of the imagination, but they're decent players to put themselves in draft position, you know? So, I mean, if that's what the Giants were trying to do, you know, I mean, but if they're looking for talent, they're not going to find another receiver like Odell Beckham. That's not what's going to happen if that was their goal.
No, dude, he's a complete freak. Him and Jarvis, dude, they're both different, but they're both so competitive. They do such a great job. There's no way in hell that the Browns should not be as talented as they are.
I agree. And they got like.
Go ahead. Finish that.
I was going to say, like, I agree. I think it just takes time, man. I mean, I feel like they're trying to learn each other. As you guys know, man, you've been a part of teams that have done really well that people thought on, like, the surface shouldn't have been good. Hey, the drop in.
The bean.
You want to say hi?
Hey.
Hey.
She walked over to me in the middle. Sorry about that. She walked over to me. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, Daddy's doing a podcast. That's Daddy's. Hey, go see Mom.
Do you tell your kids you're working when you're doing a podcast, or do you just say you're doing a podcast?
I don't know. I usually do it downstairs in the basement, but like my Wi-Fi is so terrible. Like for some reason, right here, I get quality Wi-Fi, and I didn't even know where my computer was for the longest time. This is actually the first podcast I've done that's been actually some quality stuff. So it's all kind of working out. But
he's got the marker in his hand and shit too.
Yeah, I'm like going. She's doing a mural in her room, so she's not getting like doing a nap or anything. She's just ripping around, dude. This is the elements. Look, she's ripping. There she goes. Oh, there she goes.
Yo, Hawk. would you start on the Cleveland Browns this year? If Hawk in his prime, are you starting in that starting on that roster?
In my prime?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, bro. Yes, I'm the starting slot. I wouldn't start over Jarvis. I wouldn't start over Odell. When you go 3 receiver set, your boy is on the field. One-on-one.
Trust me, I know.
Compton, they didn't want smoke, bro.
Listen, I had you on my Madden team when I did fantasy drafts, like, and you were in the 70s, and you're that little scat receiver that produced well and gained a better rating the next year 2 and 3. So you were always on my roster, dude. You were always drafted.
Well, you ran 100 and 200 right in high school. You were fast-ass dude, 11.3 or something like that. It was crazy.
No, that's actually not that fast, but.
He said, that's crazy.
Hey, that's really not that fast.
You see where we grew up, man. That shit's fast.
Yeah, I was
white guy in Arizona, dude. I'm looking at that thing going, damn. So that's serious business. How'd you get but you ran like a 4.34 at the combine.
Yeah. So I actually didn't get fast until college. You know,
that doesn't make sense, my baby. That does not make sense at all.
I was like 130 pounds in high school. So you can't be fast until you start getting your man muscles, right? Because you need the strength to like kind of run through and sustain speed. So I gained like 30 pounds between January of my senior year and my freshman year of college. Because I like quit basketball because I'm like, I got to put weight on. And I just trained like I had never really lifted weights or nothing like that. So I went crazy hard. I put on like 25, 30 pounds of muscle. And then when I got to school, I was the fastest until I got done playing football, period.
Where'd you go to college?
Toledo. Yeah.
Hawkins, baby.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, we're just kind of nodding. Toledo.
Interesting school. Interesting choice. You but after college, you ended up going to play in the CFL for a couple of years. Yep. So I talked to Cameron Wake, and he was telling me that the CFL is like the coolest setup. Like when you guys go to like other teams and you play them after the games, like the teams will hook up and they'll be like, hey, like we'll take you boys out. We're gonna go here. There's like a you can't lock your door at all in your hotel room, so people just barging on you at all times. Like there's some crazy shit that happens out there. What was that all about?
Yo, the CFL was. I mean, again, I played 6-7 years in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Not even close. CFL was way more fun just as a player, because here's the thing, and I love the NFL and the competition is top notch and the money is you know. But from the CFL perspective, there's no off season, right? So when your last game is like Thanksgiving weekend, if you make it to the championship, right? So Thanksgiving weekend, you're off and you're done until June. So there's no off season. In the CBA for the CFL, you have to be done with practice, meetings, everything by like 1 o'clock, right?
That's a dream come true.
4-hour days is the max. Teams aren't allowed to keep you for more than 4 hours a day. So I'm in the middle of Montreal, one of the biggest cities in North America, just a melting pot of every kind of people you can imagine, shopping, nightlife, you name it. And I'm done every day at like 12:31. It feels like a summer job. I'm getting paid, and like, it was amazing. And like you said, we travel to these other cities. We get there a day early, and after the game, we stay. It's not like we get like, in the NFL, you come in, you play, and you leave, period.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even in that downtime, there's meetings, you have somewhere to be every minute of the time that you're doing anything. There, it's not like that. It's like, so you guys at the game. We go to the game, we get done, hit the other team up, like, what are the spots? Oh, meet us here. We got a table at such and such in downtown Vancouver. Cool. We kick it the next morning. We hop on a plane and we fly back.
Dude, that's wild.
That is wild.
Why do you think the CFL wasn't isn't as successful as the NFL then? Like, is there like do you think like there should be a merger? Because my thought is that the CFL, first off, if you want to be anybody in the CFL, they want to go to the NFL, right? That's kind of like the stepping stone. That's our minor league in a lot of ways. You know what? You can call me wrong in a second, but I'm going to fit.
Okay, my bad.
Hawk, he's a first rounder. He doesn't,
he doesn't get that life.
hey, listen, I'm just saying, like, people want to make money. They want to go to the NFL and make money. You know what I'm saying?
Right? So
I'm just saying, like, why doesn't the CFL do like a regular football side, like a regular football field, and have 4 downs and all that? Like, why wouldn't they do the same exact thing that's been so successful as the NFL to build a bigger brand?
So here's how it works. So the CFL has been around longer than the NFL. Number one, it's the longest standing professional football league. They were first, even down into the 70s. Back in like the 70s and late 70s, the money was not different. So there are people that would not play in the NFL and go play in Canada because they got paid more money. Because the NFL players weren't making a lot of money. So there was like an actual like, hey, I don't know what league I want to play with. It depends on who pays me more. So even in the NFL, the goalposts were at the front of the end zone, right? They moved them to the back of the end zone. So back in the day, the rules were a little closer than they are now. But the CFL has a ton of tradition, and they don't care. Like when you're in Canada, like you don't get all the NFL games. They might play one on TSN, which is their version of ESPN. But when you turn on SportsCenter, they talk about Canadian Football League. Like it is their league, and they like to keep it their league. Even in the rosters, there's a 42 active man roster. 19 of them have to be Canadian born. Like you can't just flood your team with a bunch of American talent. So it was harder for me to make the roster in Canada than it was in the NFL just because there's only limited spots, right? And like in Canada, you'll have like certain positions that are just reserved for Canadians. So like a lot of the offensive linemen, they're like, we got our own big white guys. We can handle that, right?
So disrespectful. Oh, you can find those fuckers.
We got our own big white guys.
They're everywhere.
Free safeties, slot receivers, like possession. We got those. They go down and they go get like all the 4-2 guys, the 4-3 guys. They can get them. But yeah, no, they're just big on the tradition. What I could see happening is, especially in the middle of a quarantine where there's no season there, and they don't make as much money as the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. But I could see where the NFL basically buys the CFL and makes them, their kind of development league. I mean, it will be.
You're thinking this around like right now. You could see that being a play for the NFL.
I could see that being a play. It's an established league. That's the difference between with the leagues that pop up here and there. It's established. When I played in Montreal, every game was sold out for like years. And they're not huge stadiums. They're like 40,000, 50,000. It depends on where you go, but. Yeah, you play in Saskatchewan, that's like a Green Bay-ish town. The entire city is just wrapped around that football team. Like that's all they have. That's all they care about.
But college football, the NFL already has a developmental league. They have college football. They have literally free labor. They have like, oh,
Yeah.
we have everything we need. That's why they don't need that AAA, single A kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, they could do the spring thing, and the other thing it does for the league is that it exposes them more internationally, and it begins. They have a place where they could start to kind of test some of those markets and waters, and But I still think a development league is important, even in the NFL, because as you know, guys come from college, they're just not ready.
Yeah.
For me, if I would have went to the league right out of college, I don't think I would have made it.
Why is
Did
why
you
is it
try?
maturity?
Didn't you try? Didn't you go to like a rookie minicamp or anything?
Yeah, I went to a rookie minicamp and I did great because, again, one-on-one, I'm going to be hard to guard. I'm quick and fast, right? So especially people that are, my same development, I'm going to do well against. So I did really well, but just understanding the game. Like I got to go play in Montreal with Mark Trestman, who was then went on to be the Bears head coach and 30 years in the NFL coach. But I learned the game. I learned to play against grown men in an environment where I wasn't like, hey, you have to be the man right now or you can't stay, which is the NFL, right? Like you got to bring it now if you're coming from where I was coming from. The only people who get time are the guys who get in the first round, second round, those kind of guys. So being in the NFL, when I came back down after 2 and 3 years playing the Bengals, I was a rookie when A.J. Green and Andy Dalton came in. And I remember being in the weight room and Reggie Nelson, who was a free safety, was like, yo, how many years you been in the league? And I'm like, oh, I'm a rookie. And he was like, you're not no rookie. I'm like, yeah, it's my first year in the NFL. Where'd you play at? I'm like, Canada. He's like, yeah, I could tell you played against grown men. Like that's a thing. Like once you learn to play against grown men, it's a different mindset. So that's the thing that the TFL could do for a lot of players who may have a chance to stick, but there's nowhere for them to develop those skills and hone that mentality.
So you think if the NFL acquires the CFL that they might just change it? Do you think they'll change it to their rules to keep it all kind of similar? Or do you think Canada fans won't like that one bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, here's what I have no idea that's even a thing, right? So people are going to –
Right, yeah. We're all speculating here. It's interesting.
But if they did, it would only make sense for them to change the rules. And I don't know how the thing about Canadian football fans that love the CFL, the thing that they would hate more than changing their – tradition and historic rules is not having anything to root for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know if that's what the situation the CFL is in, but that money not coming in is a big deal to that league.
Yeah, that's a bit of a deal now. Why not just take an NFL team? Like they've been talking about doing a team in London for a while.
Yeah.
And like that, I don't know if that. I know you work for NFL now. You've sold out a little bit, and that's totally fine. And so, like, I don't know if you have any.
Sold out a little bit.
You've swept in there a little bit. I don't know if you hear any rumbling. If you and Goodell are having tea in the morning.
Newsflash: you work for the NFL too, but
no, I work for the NFL, but I'm also like nobody really like all the upper people are like, oh, that fucking guy again. He's just a loudmouth guy, offensive lineman. I'm thinking, it's way different. By the way, our jobs are very different.
Hey, you hit him with that one.
Yeah,
you could like our jobs are different.
Shot in the arm there, dude. He grazed me.
They pay you 30 times what they pay me. Who do you think is a more important employee to them?
No, I don't know. You're gonna last a lot longer. I know that. I feel like over time you'll make more money. Do you think there's a chance like? Yeah, there's obviously a chance that the NFL is may have a team in London, but how's that going to work? Do you play 8 home games there, then 8 away games here? Do you have 2 separate facilities? And why not? Since I know we're talking about the Canadian Football League, why not take a team and go put it in British Columbia? Go put it in Montreal. Go put it in those the cities, the Vancouvers.
Closer than London.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's closer to London and kind of give it that trial and error.
That's a good question, man. I don't know how I would feel about having to play in London. And that's me. I'm old school. I'm also, helmet to helmet.
I don't know how I feel either. That would be crazy.
Playing in London be kind of cool to me.
Yeah, but think about when you got to travel. Like, think of just
no question.
Yeah, 8 hours every time.
Every time.
Oh yeah, I'm saying not a week. You would have to go 8 home games in London and then go 8 home games away, and then you'd have to have like a separate facility in the United States, like in I don't know. North Carolina, somewhere in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like a random.
So you think it'd be dope because it'd be like a change of scenery after like half a year. You take off, like, let's go to the U.S. now.
So I think there's like 2 different trains of thought. If you're like a young player trying to figure it out and like really trying to make your mark on the league, that sucks because you're not going to be in it. Like you're not going to be in the beacon, you know what I'm saying, of the United States trying to Like you're around the players, you're kind of traveling, you're doing the regular travel day that everybody else is doing. But if you're towards the end of your career, and like what a cool cultural experience that would be to go and live in London and play a sport that everybody loves and be like a stepping stone of people that like you're trying to change the brand. You're trying to adapt and grow. And you can look back, you know, you play 2-3 years doing that and you look back and go, I was one of the people that got to kind of steamhead that of, you know, London. There's a franchise in London that I helped start. And I think, so like as a young player, I don't think you would want it, but as an older player, I think that'd be really cool to be a part of, you know, like this COVID thing, like depending on this COVID thing in the season, like if we like get an island, like the UFC did, do cruise ships, you know, 2 teams per cruise ships, like there's going to be documentaries, crazy shit that's going to happen. Like, and we get to sit there and say, yo, we were a part of this. Like we were a part of this crazy, like insane world changing thing. And then still play an NFL season. Cause there's no way we don't play. I mean, you know,
you don't think so? You think there's no way?
I knew we were going to get to this eventually. I can't see there's too much money. Do you think there's a chance of a season not happening? Hold on, before you do that, tell me about London because we got to hit that and then we'll go to COVID because we'll never get back to London.
Such a damn pro. I like London. I think it would be a cool experience. What wouldn't be a cool experience is traveling back and forth. Like that would just be brutal to me. And like, you know, and I guess in the grand scheme that, cause I would never really live in the places that I would play. After a while, I would have my off season place and then head to the city and do my thing. But when you think of like off season, like where's your off season going to be? Is it still going to be in London? And like, you know, that means you probably have to move there for the considerable amount of time. I don't know, man. It would just be tough. You're right. I do think a place like Toronto makes a lot more sense to expand to first. But again, those are conversations way above both you and I's pay grade.
No question. Geographically, that makes the most sense going on the Western Hemisphere. But you know, but for whatever reason, like I got to play in London. Will, have you ever played in London?
Yeah.
It's a wild, right? It's like you don't really the fans. You go out there and everyone's cheering and like we score
different
touchdown.
Jerseys, everyone's different jerseys, bro.
Right, all different jerseys. And then you're sitting there and then they score and they start cheering for that. Like London people are just like, fuck it, man. We don't promote these people. They don't really care.
We're rooting for touchdowns, dude.
Yeah, they're rooting for touchdowns. It's like NASCAR. Like they're looking for the accidents. Hockey, they're looking for the fights. Then it's like what everybody wants.
Did you play in London?
My last year in Cleveland, like towards the end of the season, Troy Vincent came to Cleveland. Now at this time, everyone's complaining about the London games, right? Because they're like, yo, it's bad for your body. We got to go across the country, blah, blah, blah. This is before they started doing the bye week. Right
no question.
A bunch of wheels, right? So
yeah, a bunch of wheels.
Troy Vincent comes to visit the Browns, and he sits down with like the leaders on the team. So it's like me, Joe Thomas, Tremont Williams, Josh McCown, Joe Hayden. There's like Demario Davis, like vets, right? Leaders of the team. So he sits down with us. We start talking about a bunch of stuff. He's like, you know, what about London? And we were kind of all like, yo, we want to play in London. We never get to play in London. Like most of us had not played in London yet. So he was like, word? Okay, that's interesting. Joe Thomas is like banging on the table for it. Like, yeah, man, like I want to at least experience that. At least give me the chance to complain about it like everybody else, right?
Right.
So the schedule comes out that year. Of course, Cleveland is now playing in London. Nobody that was in that meeting, not one person, got to play in London for the Browns.
No, you're lying.
Traded every single person. And then Joe tears his tricep the week before London. So there was like 8 of us that got it done, and none of us got to play in London.
Oh,
dude,
man.
The Joe Thomas tearing his tricep, that was against the Titans. And I remember I met Joe in the Pro Bowl the year before. And so like Joe Thomas to offensive lineman is like
Michael Jordan in The Last Dance.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I would say so. Like he's the dude. He's like, you know, the guy that everyone looks at and goes, he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. Like the amount of snaps he played, 10 years, 10 Pro Bowls, that kind of thing. And I'm watching this guy who I got to meet the year before come towards the sideline and get up and get on his tricep. And like he's like grabbing his tricep and they're looking at him like, holy shit. Like I'm watching this dude end his streak right now. This is crazy. You know, and I'm like, well, you know him. You should go out and say something to him. So I start like jogging out there to like say something to him. And like he gets up as I'm running towards him and like fucking power hawks down the other side. Like I don't even reach him. I like go to pat him and I like don't even tap him. I like turn around like halfway down the field. I'm like, this is the dumbest mistake I've ever made. I jog back and all that. Like Dennis Kelly and like a couple dudes are looking at me like, hey, how'd that go? I was like, I don't want to talk about it. That was a stupid move. What a dumb move.
Is there footage of that? Because I need the.
There's footage. There definitely is. I like go and I get him. I pat him on the ass, and I realize like, oh shit, you're kind of out here, aren't you? And like I kind of like go back.
You're kind of out here.
It was crazy, dude.
Hey, you were a part of that moment, though. You know that's what it's about. It's like
just stacking it up. I'm part of COVID. I'm part of a London trip.
Exactly, man.
I want to do Mexico City, but yeah, like it's not good for your body. London's not good for your body. Traveling 8 hours is not good for your body. Trying to get sleep. Like we left on a Thursday. Left on a Thursday, slept on the plane, and then got off the plane and went right to practice. And they're like, hey, like at least stay up till 7:30 the next day. So I'm literally staring at the clock, trying to go to sleep. Finally get to go to sleep at 7:30, wake up at like 2 in the morning. And I'm like up. I'm like, what the how am I gonna play a game after this? This is crazy. You go in the field's like bumpy and rocky and you slide in everywhere. It was like it's the worst conditions possible, but it's still super cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's still super cool though. Like the whole like,
I'm for sure glad I can say I played in London, but when I actually got hurt, Hawk, I tore my hamstring the week before the Titans traveled to London. I tore my hamstring. And so I got to miss out on the London trip. And low key, I was kind of like, oh, thank God I don't got to travel and do all that shit over there, dude.
Right. I actually would have
fun deal.
I wouldn't have mind traveling being hurt because then I could just do my thing, you know.
That's true for sure. Because when I was on the Skins, we had the same schedule. You fly out at Thursday night after practice on a Thursday practice, and you land. It's fucking Friday morning already. You got to get right into meetings. It's terrible. And we ended in a tie against the Bengals, which was like
I remember watching.
We didn't even know how to fucking feel about it because it was mainly like the field goal kickers. They both just missed, so it wasn't nothing anybody else was doing. So we're kind of like partying on the plane back, but you don't really know if you should be partying. You don't really know what to say to Dustin Hopkins. Shout out D-Hop. You don't know what to say to him because he missed a field goal. Hey, man,
hey, it's what it is,
We're kind of happy because it wasn't like on the defense. Offense isn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's crazy.
Funny. You were with Jay, huh?
Yeah, I think we played. Were you on the Browns when you guys came to the Skins? We were on the field together. Yep. I think there's a photo out there of probably you probably shaking myself and Will Blackman.
I remember thinking like, man, a white dude named Compton. You don't see that every day.
That's probably all the black people, they always ask me that stuff.
Yeah, and then Todd Gurley he's my other guy. He's the only black guy I've ever met named Todd in my life.
Yeah, I needed you guys to laugh at it. I said black people because I was wanting it to be a joke, but people probably hear that on the pod and like, holy shit, Will just like Compton boy.
Well, and then the person's listening to it like, well, he is from Missouri, and they kind of black people, holy shit.
Hey, do you remember when that the referee said that your running back, I forget his name, had that fumble?
What the hell was that?
I got the fumble recovery.
It wasn't a fumble recovery.
I know. I didn't have the ball. Dude, it was a crazy. Somebody came up like, hey, man, big play there at the end with that fumble, 2 turnovers. Because I remember I stripped on one, and I was like, 2 turnovers. They're like, yeah, they got you for that fumble recovery. I was like, what? Because I remember being at the bottom of the pile, and somebody was ripping my arm, and I was like, hey. I was like, yo, that's my fucking arm. Let go of my arm. And we get up, and apparently I had the fumble recovery. Ball wasn't even on the bottom of the pile, Taylor.
It was terrible.
We got a fumble recovery.
So the running back drops the ball, Duke Johnson, gets it right back, stands up. It was essentially like that. Hands it to the ref, and the other ref comes in and points to the Redskins. The running back is holding the ball in his hand like, what?
They start jumping and freaking out like, yo, we got the ball, and we just get the fucking ball.
And we ended up losing that game.
I post speaking of the Last Dance too, I post a picture the next day of the referee pointing it the other way, and I just put the little Jordan cry emoji faces like all over all the Browns players.
Messed up, bro. That's messed up. I wouldn't have came on the pod had I done that.
Hey, what's the weirdest thing that's ever like? Is that the weirdest situation that's ever happened to you in a football game?
Weirdest situation. Heck, I don't know, man. It was all weird. I don't know, like
Flexing the watch.
some
Is that
dangerous.
is that a
He
Rolex?
like, hey Taylor, he like leans forward, like
I don't really know.
I don't know. You guys ever seen
Oh, that is a Rolex. That is a Rolex, ladies and gentlemen. Man, he's getting paid pretty good by the NFL there, huh?
A couple weird situations. I've had James Harrison and Jay Gruden almost fought one time.
Really?
Jay Gruden almost fought James Harrison.
Yeah, man. We were playing Chicago.
Lost that battle. He would have lost
Oh,
that
it would
battle
have.
9 times out of 10.
It would have got ugly. But shout out to Jay because Jay didn't back down. I will give him that. Jay, we were playing versus Chicago. It was James Harrison's first game as a Bengal in that like weird year where he was on the Bengals, and the offense got the ball back with like 2 minutes left in the half. So Jay fires off 3 passes. Boom, boom, boom. Like 6 seconds roll off the clock, right? So defense is pissed because they're like, yo, run the football. Let's go into halftime, kill clock. So we have to punt it. We're backed up. We're like on our own 10-yard line. Punt it. They get it. They do like 3 plays, kick a field goal. We go in down. And so the whole James Harrison is like flipping out. So Jay's walking in. James is right here. Like, I can't believe what the F are you doing? Run the damn football. Blah. We get in the locker room, and people are like trying to hold James back. So as you can imagine, it was like 15 people trying to hold this man back. And then Jay lost his stuff. So now they're face to face, right? No one's holding Jay back though, but everyone's holding James. So Jay's keeping a safe distance just in case, James breaks free. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy situation. And that actually wasn't the only time that I've been around players and coaches about to fight.
Oh yeah.
When you see James Harrison, like his videos on Instagram of him pushing 2,000 pounds on a sled, and you just see him like bench pressing all of the weight, not just some of it, all of the weight. You're like, well, what an imposing figure. Like he is he's got to be massive. And then you play against him. I remember I played against him my rookie year. Everyone's like, hey, don't piss James Harrison off. Don't piss him off. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, that's my thing. I'm a shit talker. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? It'll be fine. And the first play of the game, like he jogs out there. I'm like, oh, this guy's little. Like he's kind of short. Like, are we gonna be all right? And I'm thinking, like, how has this guy got so many sacks? Such a long game, dude. It was the first play of the game. I like cut him and I start cursing at him or whatever. And then there's an outside zone the next play, and I'm going to my right, and I turn, and he grabs me by the ankle and starts gator rolling my ankle. And he's like, literally, I'm like you could have just broke my ankle right there. He is so strong. His center of gravity is so low. I mean, as a defensive lineman, I don't think you really need to be that tall. I think, and now that after playing James Harrison, it's like if your center of gravity is that low, you can turn the corner that fast as he does and use your leverage against you. That's a big win.
He's like stupid powerful. Like he's almost as wide as he is like tall. Like
yes.
He's like built like a box.
Yeah.
He just
work out every day.
A brick shit house.
Yeah. He just literally lift like for like 4 or 5 hours a day. Like,
and that's all he posts too. It's almost like how many prowler sled pushes where you got like a house on each side.
He won. He won the weight room.
Game's over.
He just patted the stats.
Game's over.
It's like that. It's like that Hard Knocks video. JJ Watt's doing pass drills at 10 p.m. at night. It's like, hey JJ, it's over. Practice is done now, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go home now.
Yeah,
it's done.
Any player watching that's the moment that we were talking about that one time where you see these things on TV or the Hard Knocks, and you're just like, if they're going super hard all day long, like everyone normally does, you're not doing pass drills at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
that you definitely had a rest day at practice if you're out in front of a camera, hitting these pass drills.
Man, I always look at those dudes that get rest days because they're older or they're that good. And like during camp, it's like, hey,
so jealous.
Coach told me to take the day off. I'm like, son of a bitch, dude.
You ever get those, Hawk?
I got my last year. I got I think in camp I was on a 2-and-1 schedule.
What is that? 2-and-1, 2 days on, 1 day off.
2 on, 1 off.
You were on that?
Yeah, I was on a 2-1.
I'd be going so hard.
Then he flashes the rollie again. I love that.
My man's out here.
Joe Thomas, best schedule I've ever seen in my life.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
16 days of work.
You lying? He wouldn't even practice?
You're lying, dude.
Game day. That was the only time I'd see Joe.
I'll tell you what, I'm flooded with anxiety right now. I have a pit in my stomach right now just hearing that.
He was that good. It's like this. It's like, yo, you don't drive a Ferrari every day. That's a Sunday car. You know, you bring that thing out on Sundays and you rev it up. You don't run it into the ground Monday through Saturday. That was Joe.
He would just
Joe
work
was
on his
that
body?
good, huh?
Joe was that good, and he was still grayed out better than every player on the team, and obviously make Pro Bowls and stuff. His body was just so worn down. Like, that's why Joe didn't retire because he was just done with football. Joe's body was genuinely shit, right? Like, so if you play 10,000 snaps, there's a price to play. So he couldn't walk down steps and stuff. So there would just be like it was more detrimental for him as a player to practice than it was beneficial. So at that point, it was like, yo, he doesn't need to practice. He would come out there for walkthroughs, but even like standing up, because he couldn't stand up. His back was bad. His knees are bad. So he couldn't even stand at practice. Like, it was the best way. Had he not been on that schedule, he probably would have been forced to retire probably a couple years earlier.
Anxiety. Massive amounts of anxiety right now, dude. He
doesn't look like it now. Motherfucker's shredded.
If I'm ever at the point where my back, I can't even, like, hey, Taylor, can you go to practice today? I can't even stand there. My back hurts so bad. Like, you gotta, that's terrifying. Like, I'd be like, what's going to happen to me in 5 years from now? And he looks great. Yeah. He looks like he's done it better than any offensive lineman I've seen do it. I bet you Joe Staley catches up to him because he's looking thin. He randomly sent me a picture of his shirt off, and dude's thin.
Weird.
It's a little weird.
Hey, did he send that to you?
But it's a brotherhood. Yeah, I have it right here. But I don't know, man. Like, if you're hurting that bad, why wouldn't you cut it? Or would you rather play 10,360 whatever snaps like he did, or would you rather just play 9,000 and play about 5 more years?
I think here's the thing about Joe, man. He had the chance to go to the Broncos. The Broncos were trying to trade for him the year they won the Super Bowl. Like, at the trade deadline, it was like supposedly the facts came in a minute late. That's the only reason it didn't happen. But I really think it was the GM we had at the time. He didn't want on his resume that he was the guy that traded away Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns. Like, you can't in Cleveland, you'll never live that down, right?
Never.
So I think he purposely, sent it in late. But the Broncos, like Peyton Manning calling him, telling him to go take a piss on the GM's desk so he trades you away. But Joe didn't want to go. Like, I remember sitting with him at the lunch table, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, yo, you're about to go win a Super Bowl if the reports are right. But he was, like, stressed because he didn't want to leave Cleveland. And he was just like, at that time, he had been there so long and family. And it was like, yo, man, I'm like, he's here to ride it out. So when you talk about the 9,000 and play 5 years more, I think it got to the point where the mix of both, his body and the feel, right? And he wanted to be there for a Browns turnaround, which is why he wanted to stay. Like, that was more important to him than going somewhere and piggybacking off a Super Bowl. But it got to the point where some of the moves, again, being made, and they're getting rid of good players. They're doing the, like, draft positioning. And he's like, you guys are 2 and 3 years away. You know what I mean? So he had to start making a decision for his body, like you're talking about, Taylor, being like, I don't see this coming around anytime soon. And shoot, here we are 3 years later, and he was right.
Yeah, no question.
Now you guys got your little tomahawk show.
Now
it's not little. I don't say that in any
very
disrespect. You guys are way like that's. I did not mean that at all in that fashion. You know when I wanted to start this thing, I'm calling Hawkins the first one I'm dialing up, dude.
If the tomahawk wasn't a distant relative to the Bussin with the boys, because when it was happening, I'm like, Will hit me up like, I think me and Taylor Warren gonna start this podcast. I gave him all the keys. I said, here's what you want to do. Here's how you want to do it. You got to do this. You got to do that. Here's what they want. Here's what's worked. Keep it this. Boom, boom, boom. I actually left that conversation and was like, this podcast is going to be great. I'm telling you. These guys.
You thought that?
I'm telling you, man, I got my producers will back that up. Especially after your first episode. Who was your first episode? Delaney
Walker.
Delaney, yeah.
First episode. I'm like, this is going to be huge.
Really?
Ooh, shout out the boys.
Shout out us. Good for
Shout out
us,
to
dude.
boy.
Hey, Taylor, I remember reaching out to him too. Shout out us. I remember reaching out to him. I think it was during the season this past year, maybe, or maybe at the end of the summer. But I was like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with the uninterrupted?" And he didn't hit me back.
shit.
Well, actually, he responded to me. He's like, it's specific kind of guys that we roll with.
Crazy.
You guys don't really fit that mold.
Crazy, dude.
That's
Here's
a
the deal.
lie. That is
No,
false.
I'm just kidding.
Will and I have proven to sell our souls, dude. We'll be, what are the things that change color? Iguanas. What are those things? Chameleons.
There it is.
We're
I'm wearing
chameleons, dude.
camouflage right now, dude.
You want me to cut my hair, shave my beard, and put a colored shirt on? What's the price tag? You know what I'm saying? We'll do it. We will absolutely. We'll sell out for the brand, baby.
Hey,
I love it.
Interrupted is, but I want on uninterrupted.
Let's
yo,
do it.
you don't know what interrupted is?
No.
Okay, so
I know the
okay,
word-
all
I know
right,
the word means. I know, like, the dictionary. I know what that
let me
is.
do the boy right, man. So transition away from football. What, you were 31?
31. Yep.
And I'm gonna let him talk about some of his stuff he was doing to hustle to get in some of these meetings he was getting in. But you basically wanted to be an intern at Uninterrupted, which is LeBron James's umbrella platform. And you would never really fully know because you guys do such a good job branding. But what's his name? Maverick Carter,
Yep.
like LeBron's best friend. He kind of runs all this stuff, all this media
Mhm.
stuff. And Hawk just reaches out and wants to get an internship, right?
Yep.
Isn't that correct?
You're hitting it. Yep.
Yeah. And so he basically just wanted, because you just wanted to get in this game of not really sure what you're wanting to do, this and that. But LeBron owns Uninterrupted.
Yeah.
Like the whole brand Uninterrupted. Anytime you see Uninterrupted, just know LeBron is on that machine, dude. And
Wow.
Hawk,
So
you're like what, the business CEO, some shit?
yeah, director of business development. So while I
Yeah,
was
that's
playing,
right.
so my last couple years in Cleveland, because I mean, my older brother played in the league too, and I have like a bunch of family members that play ball. And you guys know, you got homeboys and friends that have played, and you get done and you got the palms up, like, yo, what's next, right? And that's tough on a lot of guys, right? Besides, some of the other conversations, just you've wrapped your identity in ball for so long, you don't know what's next. So for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go through that. So I went back and got my master's degree. And while I was getting my master's degree, when I signed with Cleveland, which was my version of a big deal, it's not left tackle money, but for me, it was a big deal because I was living
Joe
on
Thomas money.
somebody's couch like 4 years
Taylor
earlier.
Lewan money.
So I was like, when I got to Cleveland, I just started trying to hunt down Maverick Carter, who is, again, LeBron's business manager and, runs all the companies in the business of LeBron James. And I'm like, I just wanted to learn because I'm like, yo, if he can give me some keys that set me up for when I'm done. I didn't really know I wanted to get in the media in front of the camera, but I knew I wanted to do it behind the camera. And, I hunted him down. It took me like a year and a half, 2 years. And I just hounded him. He was like, yo, bro, if you're serious about it, come to LA, do an internship. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I picked my family up my last offseason in the league, moved out to LA, trained out here, but I was going to classes in New York for my master's. So every week I would be doing my internship. And on Monday, I would leave at like 4 a.m, fly to New York, all day classes in New York. And at night, get on the red eye right back to LA the whole offseason. So I'm interning in school. And that just kind of helped develop, and Uninterrupted was new. So, was able to kind of help shape the company and initiatives. And then they were like, yo, we want you on full time whenever you get done. So when I retired, I walked right into, being the director of business development. So been there for 3 years now. And then in front of the camera with ESPN and NFL Network started to like kind of develop, and then doing my own content and then the podcast. So it's all kind of worked out, man. And, you guys are shoot. I mean, imagine that. I got started when I got done, right? So imagine the head start guys like you were going to have when it's all said and done. You're going to walk into opportunities like some of these quarterbacks who's like, yo, these opportunities are going to pay you just as much as you made in the league. And that's what it's all about. Uninterrupted is the more than an athlete. That's what that shit is about, man. Is being like, yo, you could do a lot of things. Like you could do a podcast and be the starting left tackle or linebacker in the NFL, or have your own media company one day. You know what I'm saying?
There's something different about like when you make $1 on the football field, like that's awesome. But then eventually it's like, well, that's my job. And then when you make $1 off the football field, you're like, yo, this is just free money. Like we did it.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Your mindset. You're like, I'm actually I'm actually good at something else too. This is super cool.
Think
We were
about what
talking
you've
to-
done with Bussin. Like you built Bussin from nothing. This wasn't a thing, and now you
Yo.
got this damn. How dope is that?
Taylor and I, so when we started, it was like you wanted to have some in the library before you release one, just to have it all prepared, and we'd just be FaceTiming, dude. Probably a lot during the week, and we just be like, man, do we think this is gonna be dope? Like, do we sound stupid? Like, turn back, are you sure? And it was just, and then that first call when I was like, yo, our first sponsorship, bro. I was on like cloud 9. We were like, we fucking did this shit.
Yeah,
dude.
we did it.
That's amazing, man.
The bus, the whole thing, and it's scary too because you wouldn't. I mean, we're still playing. I think we're the only podcast, right, Will? That's active.
Well,
NFL
I identified.
athletes.
I think the McCourtney twins have one, so I can't neglect that they have
Yeah.
a pod out. But
They're
yes,
the
we're
quarterback.
like one of the first, maybe the first in the space is like active NFLers.
It's cool. It's just it's a really sweet gig, man. It's cool to be a part of. It's cool to develop. It's cool to like look back and see like the first episodes you did, and then look at what you do now and how much easier it is. Like you're not sweating as much. Like I literally was like playing with my kid, and I was like, well, I got to go do a podcast now, you know. And it's fun. It's a fun experience, and it may open a lot more doors, but this is like this whole podcast. I say it all the time was Will. Like Will was the one that was like, I want to do this. This is my like, will you do this with me? And I was like, absolutely. And he's from the ground up built everything. Like he constantly on calls with people, calling people like you, calling people like Pat McAfee, like figuring out what works and what doesn't. So our learning curve was not so much. I just came here and I put this mic and I was like, okay, well, hey, here we are. You know,
You with the money. That's
I know. I'm sure Hawk sits. Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sure Hawk sits back and identifies all that stuff. What would you
Joe,
like?
just make sure your mic is on. I'll take care.
Yeah. Taylor, just show up on this time or make sure the mic's here. He was rocking. Yo, hey, he's serious that he's looking. He was on his phone doing it with AirPods and with the Wi-Fi downstairs. Now my man looks like he's running a breakfast show right now in the morning.
We're doing it, baby. I wish I had a cup of coffee right now.
Yo, but Hawk, what would you like what's like the cry you give to guys when they want to pick your brain or that you urge guys in the league to do, like when you identify these young guys and you want them to be curious because you were like, yo, this is not going to last forever. Like everyone says not for long, but you don't know until, like me, I always think like it's not going to last forever. But now that it's actually becoming a thing, I had a lot of anxiety about it. So like, what is something that you try to give young guys that you're like, hey, get involved in this kind of stuff?
So when I got done, man, like here's the thing about ball. And again, I prepared because what happened was after I got done with college, there was a 2 or 3 year odyssey of like football being done. I was living on a couch my year after college and working at a factory and as a caddy, you know what I'm saying? And football was like done for me. And that was like the shittiest feeling I've ever had in my life. Not because football was done, but just like, I don't know what. My identity is literally wrapped in this, right? And I love football. I still love football, but I didn't like that feeling. So I'm like, if I can get it back going, I'm not going to let that happen again. And even with all of that, still when I retire from the league, you're right. There's still anxiety. Like this is still who I am. It's been me my whole life. I don't care how prepared you are. You're still going to have that feeling of like, man, I don't know how this is going to go. So when I talk to guys, I try to be transparent with them. Anyone who knows me is like, yo, if I go to Hawk don't come to me for information or advice if you don't want to hear the hard truth. I'm not your guy. You know, I know I'm funny, hard with the sketches, but anyone who knows me knows I give it to you with no chaser. Like, you're going to have to just take this, right? But when you're doing it, you didn't become a left tackle starting in, one of the highest paid and best left tackles in the league. Well, you didn't have the career that you've had and, be able to go everywhere and people say, yo, he's an asset to this franchise by just coasting it, right? That's the problem with a lot of guys in the league. And when you play, is like you think that because you've done this thing here, people will scholarship you everywhere else. Not the case. So even when we had that conversation about, when you were first starting Bussin, it was like, yo, you got to work at this and put the same crazy amount of time, stress, anxiety on yourself that you did when you played ball. Otherwise, it won't work because there are other people out here who have been doing this for 30 years that would like nothing more than to stomp you out and make sure you don't become a thing. It is hard to become a thing in anything else when other people have devoted their lives to something. So that's a testament to y'all, man. And like, for real, because, you guys have, from the start, just put the work in, man. And there's no substitution for that. And again, you guys get to reap the benefits of that.
Yo, he's just
It's a
out here
cool thing to
dropping
be a part of.
gems.
I'm jumping through a fucking wall right now, dude. I'm about to run through a damn
I
wall.
know he's sitting there. Like, that's why he's on TV,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. He said, "I'm going to give it to you straight. You're going to have to take all of that." Let's not look past that comment, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to have to take this thing, no chaser. I'm going to have to give you to take all that. He said, "I was like, what?"
I'm gonna let him finish.
I'm going to let this man finish his thought because it was really good. But
yeah,
also,
I know, right? Hey, but Hawk was like, one thing that Hawk did that I thought was dope was you were saying that you ordered a bunch of jerseys when you got done playing, and anybody you wanted to have a conversation with, you would basically write a letter with that jersey and ship it to them because you knew anybody who gets a jersey at their office, oh, hell, you know, they want to show it off and everything. But talk about doing that.
So yeah, I mean, it's like people like being told like that, you know, you appreciate them, right? Or that you see what they're doing. And that's one person. That's how I am. If I see somebody doing something dope or that I'm impressed with, I tell them. So again, when I got done playing at Toledo, the prestigious college that it is, don't hate. Shout out to Brett Kern, by the way.
Shout out Brett Kern.
Oh, shout out Brett Kern, dude.
4 years together. That's my guy. But yeah, so when I got done there and like being like, hey, I played at Toledo, it didn't get me anywhere. Even like the benefit it did while I was playing there had fallen off because no one cares about when you're done, right? It's just a lot of people can say they used to play in the NFL. How many people can say like, yo, I start receiver for the Browns right now. I'm the leading receiver. So when I got to that point, I would go to my equipment guy. I would buy 100, 50 to 100 jerseys every offseason, game jerseys. And I would write a letter, sign the jersey, assign it to somebody, and write a letter to someone that I looked up to, someone I would love to pick the brain of, someone I wanted to have lunch with, a coffee, someone I wanted advice from, and I would send it to them cold in the mail. And I'm not even kidding. Those relationships that I built through that are still what keep me afloat to this day because people will remember how you treated them when you're on top, right? Like when you were the man, were you doing this? When you're done, everyone was going to reach out. Like when you're done playing, every former player starts hitting up the network. Hey, remember me? People are used, they see through that. Like, but when you're on top and you're reaching out, they will treat you like you treated them at that moment for the rest of your life. So
I love it.
That was the mindset, man.
Did you want to work for NFL Network? Did you want to like be a part of that?
Yeah. I mean, the situation happened. I did not think that I was going to be able to do media. You know, I had because I didn't win any Super Bowls. I played for the Bengals and Browns. Never won a playoff game. Never been to the Pro Bowl.
The Bengals and Browns, dude.
I came to the league from a reality show in Canada. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think I had a chance, to be honest. So when I started doing stuff, I'm like, okay, if my personality isn't what's going to make me shine, then it just ain't happening because that's not the resume that you typically look for. So I started doing stuff at ESPN, and I would just make sure I would pass up on good opportunities and just being like, yo, like, I need to showcase my personality and being able to do funny stuff. And I hosted SportsCenter on Snap, and it got nominated for Emmys. So when the NFL seen that and they started reaching out, like, yo, we want to make sure that we're kind of keeping up with the times and, putting out content that people are used to in these times. And who better to do it than one of our own? I thought it was dope because, again, like, you spend your whole life. You don't get to the NFL on accident. You've been trying to do that since you were 7, right? Like, so that you can say what you want about the Shield, but it's shaped a lot of our lives. You know what I'm saying? We could talk all the mess we want to as players and don't do that, but the Shield has been something you've been trying to acquire your entire life. So to be on this side of it and be able to be myself, do funny stuff about the thing that I'm an expert at, which is football, come on, man. You can't beat that.
You sold me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, he dropped the mic on that one.
I know. And his earbuds.
And now he's out there. Have you seen his impressions of The Last Dance? I know you got to go here like within 5 minutes, Taylor. But have you seen his impressions of The Last Dance?
No.
Hey, look! Hey, go!
Hey, I'll check it. Okay.
Go on Hawk's Twitter.
Okay.
The best one, bar none, is your Dennis Rodman one. I mean, that one is golden, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I was nervous. I almost didn't put those out, man.
Bro, it's crazy how that works. Like, I wrote in 2 like blogs that I've taken serious, and I'm super nervous when I'm about to like put something out when it's like, all right, I'm gonna do this. But then when people start hitting you and like, yo, that's awesome. Like, especially teammates, like you were saying it, like when somebody reaches out that's kind of you see as a peer of yours and like, hey, that's really cool. And it like gives you that confidence, like, okay, all right, I was doing the right thing. I'm just in my own head about it. But yo, that Dennis Rodman skit is fucking hilarious, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
It's probably the best one, the best impression, best video mocking anything I've seen about The Last Dance. Like that is number one.
Your
content
lips are so chapped in this video.
Hey, when he goes,
he put some powder on there.
When he goes, who is this? I was like, oh my god.
And Dennis is like,
Oh, shoot.
well, the choice, I take whatever you can give me. I take the 48 hours.
Yo, that is so good.
Who is this? Yo, bro, you fucking crushed that whole video, dude. Do you just set that up in your house? Like, are you just at home and you're like,
is that a green screen?
Set it up and you're like, the wife and kids, like they step out and you just do you're working?
So when I retired, just like I told you, I didn't think anybody would give me a chance in media. So I'm like, I'm just going to start doing stuff on my own. So I bought a green screen. I bought a camera. I bought lights. This is in 2017. And I just had them in my closet. I moved here to LA for the job at Uninterrupted like a year later. They've been sitting in my garage for 3 years, all this equipment. And when this quarantine hit, I set it all up and was like, well, I got this shit.
This is it.
This is it. And boom, here we are, man. I just started just doing it and putting it out.
And you edited it. You did all the editing?
I do the editing. I shoot it. I do the audio. I got the mics. I do the green screen, the graphics. And yeah, bro. More you can do, man. I'm the special teamer of media.
That is crazy, man. That fires me up. I'm just like, fuck, I got to know more, dude. I got to do more.
It took me an hour and a half to figure out how to set up this mic. Spoiler, just plug it in. That's all you got to do. I was like, how does this thing work? Oh, you just plug it in. Thanks. Okay.
I was so in my head about the sketches too, man. Like I mean, because like you said, you sit there with it so long, and you're like, yo, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. It's not funny. The jokes are terrible. I don't look like Dennis Rodman. You sound like an idiot. So I sent it to my brother, and I was just like, yo, here's a sketch I did a couple days ago. Like, just to, he was like, dude, why haven't you posted this? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yo, this is hilarious. He's like, I'm sitting here laughing like I don't even know you.
That shit is
so like,
funny, dude.
All right.
I'm excited to watch the end. I'm literally excited to watch the end of the video. When you look at the thing, and it's Michael Jordan telling you, who is this? That shit is so funny, dude. I was the best teammate to ever live, except for when I was skip practice. That's the part of that right now.
Have you guys been watching Last Dance?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you'll definitely appreciate it. You got to check it. I did.
The last weekend when I saw Dennis come on, I legit started just kind of like that soft chuckle just because all I was thinking about is your fucking video, dude.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
That's funny,
dude.
Man.
Dude, you were epic. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for molding Will into making this an epic podcast. You are Bussin' with the Boys.
I am Bussin' with the Boys.
Shout out the three of us for being the best podcast ever.
We did it, fellas.
We did it. Babe, we did it.
Hey, when you come to Nashville, you have to get on the bus.
Oh, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. Keep it warm. I am on the bus, bro.
All right, bro. Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Comment by Andrew Hawkins.
Much love, fellas. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Guys, gals, people of all ages, appreciate you so much for tuning in to another episode of Bussin' with the Boys. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're on. We're on there. We have a YouTube channel, Bussin' with the Boys. We would love if you subscribe there as well. If you are subscribed and you want to be more for the boys, unsubscribe and resubscribe again. It sounds funny and stupid and kind of obnoxious, but all of your subscriptions and resubscribing and stuff, it helps in these little algorithm games for climbing charts because, again, we are very organic. You guys, where we're at is because of you guys. So we like to keep it fucking organic and just from us, dude. Us versus the world. But we really do. We really appreciate your guys' support. A few of you had questions about merchandise. You can go, our merchandise store is on barstoolsports.com. Go over to shop, and we are under the brand Bussin' with the Boys. You can find all of our gear there. We restock constantly now. If you guys have any ideas, shout us out. If you guys buy the gear, shout us out. We really do love when you guys talk back to us, add us, mention us, put us on your stories, tag us, all that fun stuff. We like grabbing that stuff and putting it on our YouTube episodes. And again, we just love it, man. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much. Keep being for the fucking boys. Keep being a wolf. The biggest of hugs and the tiniest of kisses. We love you. We appreciate you. Tune in next week for another episode of Bussin' with the Boys.
No old man around for my own, but the